Today we are going to discuss about the threaded binary trees. Before that, you just recall these 3 points are the important facts. We have discussed about the different types of the traversal methods which are used for traversing all the nodes in the binary tree. So whatever the traversal methods we have studied or learned so far, they spend most of their time in the manipulating the task, because when you are going to traverse the nodes or the binary nodes in the binary tree, so we need to store the address of right subtree or the left subtree or sometimes the root node onto the stack, so that most of the memories are being used by the algorithm in order to store the address of the respective subtrees. The second one is the storage space required for the stack is potentially large, mean that if the tree size keep grows, okay, so that the utilization of the stack size also keeps growing. And one more observation is that in case of binary trees, the majority of the pointers mean that in case of binary nodes, we have a node, the nodes are represented by using the following fields. One is nothing but left link, right link, followed by the data field. So in any given binary trees, the majority of the pointers are nil. Okay, we don't make use of the either the left pointer or the right pointer. Where exactly these left link or the right links are null? These left link and right links are null in the terminating nodes. Which are called as terminating nodes? All leaves are called as terminating nodes. Okay, but whereas the internal nodes are being fully filled or being partially filled depending upon the number of childs they have. Okay, in order to overcome these drawbacks, we are going to make another kind of tree that is called as threaded binary trees. Now let us see what do you mean by threaded binary trees. In the linked representation of binary trees, more than one of the linked fields contain null values or the nil values, which results in wastage of storage space. Suppose if a binary tree consists of n nodes, if the binary tree consists of n nodes, okay, then n plus 1 links contains null values. Suppose if you have n number of nodes in the binary tree, the number of null links in this given binary tree will be equals to n plus 1, whereas the number of non-null links will be equals to 2n minus 1. And by using this n value, it is possible for us to kind of find the total number of links. The total number of links will be 2n. Among this 2n, okay, n minus 1 links will be empty, and whereas n minus 1 links will be non-empty, whereas n plus 1 links will be empty. So in order to effectively manage the space, a method was devised in which the null links are replaced with special links known as threads. So this threaded binary trees is proposed by A.J. Perlis and C. Thornton. Their idea is to effectively make use of these null pointers. According to this idea, we are going to replace all the null pointers by the appropriate pointer values. These pointer values are called as threads. A binary tree with such pointers is called as a threaded binary tree. Each node in a threaded binary tree either contains a link to its child node or thread to other nodes in the tree. The most common convention for threaded representation is as follows. Suppose if the left subtree is empty, I'll give you an example in the coming slide. If the left subtree is empty, the left link points to the in-order predecessor. Points to the in-order predecessor. Suppose if the right subtree is empty, the R link, the right link points to the in-order successor. Suppose if the left link is absent, empty, so that left link is the empty left link is being filled by the in-order predecessor. Suppose if the right link is empty, this right link is being filled by the in-order successor. So here predecessor and successor refers to the nodes. There are two types of threaded binary trees. The first one is called as an single threaded binary tree or one-way threading. We call it as an one-way threading. The second one is called as an double threaded binary tree or two-way threading. In one-way threaded binary trees, a thread will appear either in the right or left link field of a node. Say for example, if you have a node, this node has left link and as well as the right link. In case of single threaded binary trees, this thread may appear either in the left link or it may appear in the right link. If it appears in the right link field of a node, then it will point to the next node that will appear on performing in-order traversal. So such trees are called right-threaded binary trees. Just give an example before that. We'll see that one. I'll give an example later. In case of single threaded, we can able to have two types of trees. One is called as right threaded binary tree. Second one is called as an left threaded binary tree. So in case of right threaded binary tree, the right link field of a node will point to the next node that will appear on performing in-order traversals. Whereas in case of left-threaded binary tree, the binary trees are used in left-threaded binary trees. If the thread appears in the left field of a node, then it is understood that it will point to the nodes of in-order predecessor. So such trees are called as an left-threaded binary trees. Whereas in case of double-threaded binary trees, we are going to use both left and as well the right pointers for there. So where both left and right null pointers are made to point to the in-order predecessor and as well the in-order successor respectively. In the sense that the left null link field is used to hold the in-order predecessor, whereas the right pointers or right link is used to hold the in-order successor. The predecessor threads are useful for reverse in-order traversal and post-order traversal. Means that by using these threads, it is possible for you to traverse all the nodes in the given binary trees. Okay, this is the actual representation of the node. If you are going to use the binary threaded threaded binary tree, so in this each node will be having the following field. So we have a left thread tag and we have a right thread tag, and this is the pointer field which is used to hold the right child and as well the left child, and this particular field is used to store the information. This is what exactly the node will be created by using the C++ code or the C code. Now let us consider this example. This is an example for the threaded binary trees. suppose if I traverse this binary tree by using in-order traversal method, so what exactly the output of this? The output of this in-order traversal of this binary tree will be 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, and 13. Okay, so this is an example for right threaded binary tree. It is an example for right threaded binary tree. So if you look at these, the nodes 1, 5, 7, 9, and 13. Okay, all these nodes, the link field of all these nodes are empty. So that in case of right threaded binary tree, okay, it is an example for right threaded binary tree. So here what we are going to see, we are going to put the address of the in-order successor of the node in the empty field. Say for example, the node leaf node, the right link is empty in this case. Since the right link is empty, if you look at the in-order traversal, the in-order successor of this, then the node 1 is nothing but 3. So that the address of 3 is put into the right field of the leaf node 1. Similarly, 5 is also a leaf node. The in-order successor for this node is nothing but 6. So that the right link field of this 5 is filled with the address of this node 6. Similarly, right link of 7 is filled with the in-order successor of its node of the node in the in-order traversal method. So that is nothing but 8. So that the address of 8 is stored in the right link of 7. Similarly, 9. And if you look at the 13 here, so there is no successor for 13. So that the right link of this 13 is not is still empty only. So this is this diagram shows how exactly we are going to convert the given binary tree into a single threaded binary tree. Suppose if you wanted to construct the left threaded binary tree, so what you supposed to do means you supposed to make of the in-order predecessor over there, so that where each and every leaf nodes link left link field will be filled by the in-order predecessors over there. Okay, let us assume that this is the given binary tree. What I want is, I wanted to traverse all these nodes by using the in-order traversal method. Okay, so how exactly I can able to do this? I can able to visit all the nodes by making of the threads instead of going with the conventional method. So we start with the leftmost node in the tree and we are going to print it, and we are going to follow the right thread over there. Okay, so that the leftmost node followed by the right thread. If you follow a thread to the right, we always output the node and we keep continuing towards its right. Okay, now let's see, start with the first leftmost node. Which is the leftmost node in this example? That is nothing but the 1. Okay, so that you have to output 1. Then after outputting 1, okay, so that you have to follow the right link of this node. The right link of this node is connected to the node 3. Okay, so that you are visiting 3 and output it. Okay, that is the 3 is displayed now. Now the right link of 3 is connected to the 5, so that output 5. That is then right link of 5 is connected to 6, the output 6. Similarly, the right link of 6 is connected to 8, right link of 6 is connected to 8, but we have, since we are going to traverse in the in-order traversal method, we have to go to the extreme left, the node in the right subtree of this 6, so that we have to go to the 6, so that you are going to display the 6, then follow the right link, then 8 will be displayed. Again we are moving to the 9 now, so that 9 is displayed, and follow the right link and follow the right link of the 1, so that 13 will be displayed. So this is how we can able to get the tree traversal output by making of the threads. Okay, so this is nothing but this is an example for in order traversal output. Okay, so this way we can able to visit all the nodes in the binary tree. Okay, next we have double threaded binary tree or two-way threaded binary tree. In two-way threaded binary trees, the right link field of a node containing a null value is replaced by a thread that points to the node's in-order successor, and left field of a node containing null values is replaced by a thread that points to the node's in-order predecessor. Okay, so that is most important, where we are going to fill the threads in the double threaded binary tree or two-way threaded binary tree. So the empty fields, empty link fields should be filled by the proper values. Which are the proper values means? So R link, and we have a left link. R link and left link of any node should be filled by the proper values. So the right link of a field of a node containing null value should be replaced by a thread pointing to node's in-order successor. So that is nothing but, so R link always should hold the value of in-order successor, whereas left link should have a pointer of in-order predecessor. Okay, so this point you need to remember in order to build a double threaded or two-way threaded binary trees. Okay, suppose if you look at this example here, as I already told that here if you look at that, right pointer is nothing but next node of in-order traversal. Who is the next node of in-order traversal? That is nothing but the successor, whereas left pointer is nothing but previous node, that is nothing but the predecessor of the in-order traversal. Suppose this is the given binary tree here. I wanted to convert this binary tree into its equivalent double threaded binary tree. So that if you look at this one, this particular node has a two link field. So this is left field and right field. Okay, here's the right link or a right pointer of 15 is towards the in-order successor. In-order successor is nothing but 20. So that it was the value 20, the address of 20. Similarly, if you come to the leaf node 25, so that the empty field, link fields are replaced by the in-order successor and also the predecessor values. So this right link holds the in-order successor, that is nothing but 30, and this is nothing but 25 holds the address of 25 holds the address of the 20, that is nothing but the in-order predecessor. So in order to differentiate in-order successor and predecessor, if you write the in-order sequence, it is easy to find who is the in-order successor and who is the predecessor of a given node. Okay, so that 15, 20, 25, 30, 37, 40 and 45. This is the output. Okay, suppose if you look at 15 here, so successor is nothing but 20. Okay, this is the in-order successor for this. There is no predecessor for the 15. Similarly, if you look at 25 here, so in-order successor for this is 30, whereas predecessor is nothing but 20. Similarly, if you look at the 37, the in-order successor is 40, so that the right link of this 37 should hold the address of 40. And similarly, same thing holds good for the remaining nodes also. If you look at this in this figure, we know that it is not an example of two-way threaded binary tree. If you notice that no left thread is possible for the first node, and no right thread is possible for the last node. Which are the first node and which are the last node here? If you look at the 15 and 45, for 15 is nothing but the first leftmost node and 45 is nothing but the last node. In case of 15, so that the left link is empty, and whereas in case of 45, the right link is empty. So there is no left link for 15 and there is no right link for the last node. Okay, so this is because they do not have any in-order predecessor and successor respectively. So this is indicated by threads pointing nowhere. So in order to maintain the uniformity of threads, we maintain a special node called header node. If you look at this diagram, we are going to maintain a special node. The special node is called as an header node. The header node does not contain any data. If you look at the data part of this header node, it does not contain any data part, and its left link field points to the root node and its right link field. If you look at this one, if the left link field is pointing to the root node and if the right link field is pointing to the root node and its right link field points to the points to the node itself. So if this header node is included in the two-way threaded binary tree, then this node becomes the in-order predecessor of the first node and in-order successor of the last node. Now, threads of length fields of the first node and the right link fields of the last node will point to the header node. If you look at this one, this header, the right link of the last node is pointing to this. And if you consider the previous one, we are going to have an head node here, so that here this right link is going to pointing to this node, and whereas this right link of the 45 is pointing to the this node, and this is going to pointing to the head node. Okay, so we have a head node over there. Okay, so that in order to remove the dangling of the nodes, we are going to make use of this special node that is called as an head node. Okay, so by using this head node, so we can able to eliminate the empty spaces in the first node and as well as the last node. So these are some of the advantages of threaded binary tree. So compared to the other conventional traversal method, by using this threaded binary tree, it is more faster. Okay, we don't require to make use of the any stacks for the storing the return address over there. And also it is very efficient method of determining the predecessor and as well as the successor of a node starting from any given node. We don't require to start from the root node. It is possible for you to start from the any given node. If you look at this one, say for example, this example, you can able to start traversing from the node 40, but this is not possible in case of the conventional traversal method. So this happens only with the threaded binary trees. So any node can be accessible from any other nodes. Okay, that is what another advantage we can get. Okay, so that but if you have the binary trees, non-threaded binary trees, then you have to start from the root node, and you can able to access the desired node over there. Suppose if you know the address of any of the intermediate node, then it is possible for you to visit the any desired node starting from that given node. Okay. So next, another advantage is nothing but insertion and deletions of a node from the threaded binary tree is more simpler compared to the other node. Even though it is a time-consuming process, but it is very easy to implement compared to the conventional method. What are the disadvantages? Similar to the advantages, it has some disadvantages. First one is insertion and deletions from a binary threaded tree is very time-consuming. Okay, and this tree require additional bit to identify the threaded link. Okay, means that whenever you are trying to delete or insert a node, we require to replace the right link and as well the right link of the newly added node by a proper values. These are the two overhead in case of the threaded binary tree. Otherwise, we can able to get the maximum advantages by making of the threaded binary trees. The first one is nothing but it is faster, and it is efficient method to determine the in-order predecessor and successor, and it is possible for you to visit the any given node from the the node, any given node in the threaded binary trees. So this is about the application of the binary trees. Next we have another application of the binary tree, that is nothing but the heaps. So before going to the different types of heaps and as per the heap properties, now let us see what exactly the heap. Heap is a complete binary tree structure where each element satisfies some heap properties. There are certain properties are there. These properties supposed to be satisfying all the nodes. In a complete binary tree, all levels are full except the last level. That is nothing but the nodes in all levels except the last level. That is nothing but the nodes with the two children. The last level will be filled from the left to right. So a binary heap is a complete binary tree which satisfies the heap ordering property. We'll see what exactly the ordering property in order to create an heap over there. So ordering can be of any of type. Means that there are two types of orderings are there. One is called as a mini property. Second one is called as a maxi property. Based on these properties, so we can able to differentiate, you categorize these heap into the two types. One is called as an min heap. Second one is called as an max heap. So min heap, max heap, okay, follows the min heap property and as well as the max heap properties. So in case of each heap node stores a value. That value is called as an key value. Each heap node stores a value. That value is called as an key value. This key value is going to define the relative position of that node inside the heap. Let's see how exactly this can be divided. So let us look into the min heap property, min heap tree property here. Okay, what exactly this min heap property says means the value of the root node is less than or equal to either of its children. Either of is a min means minimum value. Mean that always the parent node value should be less than or equals to their children. If this is an example for the min heap tree. So if you look at the root node here, the root node is 6. According to the statement, the root node 6 has a value whose value is less than 7 and as well as less than 12. Okay, so this 6 has left child and right child. Left child value is 7, right child value is 12. So that 6 is less than 12 and also the 6 is less than the 7. Okay, so this satisfies the min heap property. This min heap property should be satisfied throughout the levels. Suppose if you look at the 7 here, okay, 7 is nothing but the parent of 10 and as well as the 15 here. According to the min heap property, the parent should have a key value which is less than their children. Okay, so if you look at this one, the 10 is greater than 7. 10 is greater than 7, and similarly 15 is greater than 7 in this case. Okay, so that the parent node has a least value compared to their children. Similarly, if you look at this node, okay, that is the 12. It has only one left child. Okay, there is no right child for this. Still is going to satisfy the min heap property. So that in the sense that the parent value is less than the child values. That is 12 less than the 7. Okay. So in case of min heap property, the parent node should have a value which is less than or equals to their children. Next, the second heap property is nothing but the max heap property. Okay, what exactly the max heap property says means the value of the root node or a parent node is greater than or equals to either of its children. Okay, so it is just opposite to the first one, that is the mini property. In case of MaxHeap, parent node value should be greater than or equals to their children, and this property should be achieved at all levels. If you look at this level 0, here the 17 is nothing but a parent. This 17 is greater than 10, it is the child value 10, and also it is greater than 15. Okay, and if you look at this level 1 here, so the parent value is nothing but 15. This 15 is greater than 6, and also it is greater than 10. Similarly, 10 is greater than 7. Okay, so this is a valid example for the MaxHeap. So as I told in a heap, the highest or the highest or a lowest priority element is always stored at the root. Mean that the maximum value or the minimum value is stored at the root only. Okay, a heap is not a sorted structure and can be regarded as partially ordered. If you look at this, there is no relationship among the elements belong to the different levels. Okay, I have a 6 here, 7 and 12 and so on like that. If you look at this one, I have a 17 and 15 and 10. There is no relationship among the elements while constructing it. Okay, so I mean that no particular relationship exists in case of the heap. Okay, but heap is nothing but a complete binary tree, so that it has a smallest possible height. So in case of heap with n number of nodes, the height will be always O of big O of log of n. And one of the common use of the heap is to implement the priority queue. Okay, always the high priority value will be stored at the root only. So similar to the binary trees and other application of the binary trees, it is also possible for us to perform the various operations. So which are the operation we can do? The first operation we can do is nothing but the insert operation. Okay, suppose if the AVL tree is already exists, it is possible for us to insert an element or a key value into the existing tree. Okay, we can able to do that one. And the second property is nothing but finding the maximum or the minimum values in the given heap tree. Okay, so it is very easy to find the maximum or minimum value. And third operation is nothing but deleting a node or can be done here. So it is possible for us to delete either the node, delete a node with a maximum key value or deleting a node with the minimum key value. And sometimes we wanted to modify the existing key value. So that can be done by the increase or decrease operations. Next, finally, we can able to do merging of any two given heaps. Suppose if you have given two heaps, it is possible for us to join these two heaps to form a valid new heap containing all the elements of the both. Okay, so these are the some of the operations we are going to perform with respect to heap. So the applications of heap will be, the first one is nothing but heap sort. Second one is we can able to use this heap in the selection algorithm, and also we are going to make use of the this heap in the graph algorithm, and finally we are going to use in the implementation of the priority queues. Okay, so we already discussed about the constructing the or storing the binary tree in the form of the array or representation of the binary tree in the form of the array. And also we have come across this kind of the relationship. We can able to use the array to store the data for any given node at position high. Okay, so its left child, right child, and as the parent node can be calculated by using the following relation. Suppose if the tree is represented in the array form, left child is at 2i plus 1. So means that high node left child is located at 2i plus 1. Okay. Similarly, the ith node right child is located at 2i plus 2 in the given array. Similarly, the parent of ith node is located at I minus 1 divided by 2. Okay. So this relation is holds true. Suppose if the array index starts from 0. If the indexing is at start from 0, indexing is at 0, then these rules are always come. Sometimes the programmer may start storing the array starting from the index value 1 also. In that case, these relationships are going to change little bit. Okay. Suppose if you look at this is an example of the maxheap. How do you represent this maxheap in the array form here? Okay, so that what is the size of this heap? The size of this heap is nothing but 8. So that we require 8 locations in order to store all the key values in the arrays. Okay, so starting from the left to right, from the level Y, from the top to bottom, you store all the elements in the arrays. Say this is the level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3. Okay, so 50 in level 0 I have only one element, so that is going to occupy the first location in the array. Similarly, level 1 has 2 elements, so that store these elements from left to right. Okay, so 30 and 15 goes to the consecutive memory location. Similarly, in case of level 2, I have 4 nodes, again store starting from left to right. So 19, 20, then 10 and 5. In the last level, I have only one node, that is nothing but 2, that goes to last location in the array. Okay, so this way I can able to find out. If you make use of these relations for this particular representation, okay, so that it is easy for you to find who is the left child of ith node or right child and also parent node of the ith node. Similarly, suppose if you are given a min heap, okay, if this is the min heap, the values will be stored in the memory in this way. Okay, so similarly level wise, okay, from top to bottom we are going to store, and at each level we are going to store from the left to right. Okay, first one node, that is the root node, is the one that goes to the 0th location. 2 and 3 goes to the next two consecutive locations. 6, 9, 5, 10 goes to this 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th location. Finally 14 goes to the last location. Okay, so this way we can able to store the heap values in the array form. So next is how to construct the max heap from the given for the given values. Okay, an algorithm for max heap is derived by inserting one element at a time. We have studied about how we can able to construct the binary search tree. In the same way, it is also possible for us to construct the heap by inserting the elements one at a time. But when you keep inserting the element into the heap at any point of time, so heap must maintain its property, mean that after insertion of any element into the existing heap, so that heap property must be satisfied at all the levels. So these are the some of the steps which we are going to use for creation of or construction of the max heap. Step 1, create a new node at the end of the heap. Okay, so create a new node at the end of the heap means that we can able to store the new element at the end of the array, so that the heap array can be created, and we are going to assign that value to this new node. Then after that we are going to compare the value of this child node with its parents. Okay, say for example, if you have a 25 the node, suppose if the next element to be inserted is nothing but 15, what you have to do is you are going to add this 15 as a left child of this 25. Yes, 25 is added here. Then after inserting it, what you have to do is you have to compare the value 15 with 25, whether it is going to satisfy the the MAXZIP property or not. Say, since 25 in case of MAXZIP, okay, MAXZIP, the MAXZIP property says that the key value of the root parent node should be greater than its child. Yes, here 25 is greater than 15. So now the heap property is balanced, then you can able to go and insert the new value. Say for example, suppose if the new value to be inserted is nothing but 45, 45, go and add this 45 as an rate of 25. So then after that you compare the 45 with 15. Compare the parent value 25 with the 45 value. Whether 25 is the parent value is greater than 45? No. Then what you have to do means you have to swap these two values. When you swap these two values, so that you will get a new heap. So it looks this way. Okay, 45 is the root node. Now this is after swap. 45 is the root node and 25 is nothing but the leaf node. And these steps 3 and 4 must be repeated, okay, till you reach till the heap property is maintained. Okay, these are the 5 steps which are used for construction of the MAXZIP tree. Okay, so if you look at this one, in mini heap construction, we expect the value of the parent node to be less than that of the child node. Okay, that is only the difference here. Suppose if you are asked to construct the mini tree, what you are doing is you have to ensure the mini property such that the parent node value should be always less than the child, their child values. Okay, that is the only thing is you need to maintain. Otherwise, all the steps are remain same. These are the this is the pseudo code. Which shows how exactly a node is inserted into the MAXZIP. Okay. So say we already have we have a following input to this algorithm. The item. Item is nothing but it's a data or a key value, new key value to be inserted into the heap. Then where n represent the number of elements or the number of nodes in the heap. Okay. What is the output? Output is nothing but item, that is the new data item should be inserted into the heap tree. Okay, and we are going to make of the array A of array. That size will be that size of the array is represented by using the variable size in this case. If you look at this one here, in this pseudo code, our array is going to start from 1 to size. Okay, if that is not the case, our array is supposed to start from 0 to size -1. Okay, so then these are all the steps. Okay, these steps are going to depict these three, the two step 2, 3, and after the 4 in this case. Okay, now let us understand this algorithm by looking into certain examples. Okay, now let us look at this example. Create a heap from the following list of numbers. So 33, 44, 67, 23, 44, 49, and 74. Okay, so we have to create a heap MAXZIP. We are going to construct the MAXZIP for this sequence of numbers. The first whatever means first you read the first number. Okay, first you read the first number, create a node, assign the key value 33 into that node. Okay. So create a node and insert the first number, that is 33. It is done. Okay. So this is my min heap. This is the step 1, the result of step 1. Next, what you have to do is read the second number. Okay. Read the second number. The second key value is nothing but 42. So what you have to do is you go and insert the 42 as left of 33. Okay. Means that as a left child of 33. Okay. So I inserted here 33 and 42. Now I inserted 42 as a left child of 33. Now what you have to do is after insertion you have to check whether the heap property is maintained or not. In case of MAXZIP, so MAXZIP property says that the parent value should be greater than their child values. So in this case, okay, 33 is less than 42. Okay, parent value is 33 is less than 42. Now what you are doing is you need to swap these two values. You need to swap these two values. Then only we can able to maintain the MAGZIP property. Okay, so after swapping it, okay, so that this is the resultant tree. Okay, so this is the output of the step 2. This is the output of step 2. Now inserting a number 42 is done. Okay, now you read the third number. Okay, read the third number and insert this third number as an right child of 42. Okay, that is 67 is inserted as a right of a 42. Okay, done. Now what you are doing is you have to compare these two values after insertion. After insertion, if you compare this, 42 is less than 67, so that it is violating the MAGZIP property. So in order to retain the MAGZIP property, what you are doing is you have to swap these two values. Okay, if you swap these two values, okay, the resultant the tree will look like this. Okay, this is nothing but the output of step the 3. Okay, 67, 33 and 42. Okay, so now 67 is the parent whose key value is greater than 33 and as well the 42, so that MAGZIP property is maintained over there. Okay, what is the next number? Next number is nothing but 23. Okay, so now 23 is going to be inserted as an left child of 33. Okay, always we have to start adding from the left to right level wise. Okay, this is the fourth element 23, it is added over there. Okay, now you compare 23 with the 33. Okay, since your 33 is greater than 23, so the MAGZIP property is maintained, so that, okay, so no need to do any swapping over there. Okay, there is no interchanging is required in this case. Now what is the next element? The next element is nothing but 44. Okay, I wanted to insert 44. This 44 should be inserted as the right of 33. The right of 33. Okay, so that this is the resultant tree here. Okay, this is the new recently added inserted node 44. Now we have to compare this, since 33 is less than 44. Okay, so that it is violating the MAGZIP property. For that, what you do? You need to do interchanging of these two nodes. Okay, swap these two nodes. Okay, after swapping it, okay, this is the resultant MAGZIP tree here. Okay, 67, 44, 42, 23 and 33. Okay, next element is nothing but 49. The 49 is going to become the right child of 42. Okay, now you are going to add it as a right child of 42. Now you are going to compare this inserted key value with its parent value. Since the 42 is less than 49, so that it is not satisfying the MAGZIP property. So in order to maintain that property, you need to swap these two values. Okay, 42 and 49. After swapping it, okay, so this is the resultant, the tree. Okay, so now take the next element. Okay, add it to the tree. Now the next element is nothing but 74. The 74 is going to become the right child of 49. Now add it over there. Okay, if you do this way, so this becomes, this looks like this. Now compare the parent value 49 with the 74. 49 is less than 74. What you do? You need to do swapping in this case. Swap the values. Okay, after swapping it, the resultant tree is this. Okay, then compare the recently changed node 74 with the 67. Okay, here also, because see here, whenever you are going to create an heap tree, so the heap property should be satisfied from the internode to the root node. Okay, now in the previous level or in the previous iteration, we have maintained the MAGZIP property for 49 and as well as 74. Now if you compare here 67 and 74, now the MAGZIP property is broken. MAGZIP property is broken between 67 and 74. So now what you do means you have to interchange these two values. So swap these two values. If you swap these two, you will get an heap. So this is the required MAGZIP tree. Okay. So this way we can able to construct the MAGZIP trees. Okay, next is deletion operation in the MAGZIP. This is about the creating a heap. Then deletion in a MAGZIP, deleting the last node is very simple. Okay, so because last node is nothing but a leaf node. Okay, if you delete the any leaf node, it is not going to affect the going to affect the MAGZIP properties at any given levels. Okay. But deleting a root node from a MAGZIP is little difficult because suppose if that particular root node is deleted, it is going to disturb the MAGZIP properties. Okay, now let us look into the steps which are used for deletion of a node in the MAGZIP. In most of the cases, actually, either we are going to delete the node with the minimum value or a node with the maximum value, because this priority based on the priorities, okay, so that highest value or least values are stored in the root node over there. Okay, so instead of deleting the specified node, either the node with the maximum value or the node with the minimum value will be deleted. So here the steps goes like this for the deletion of the MAGZIP node in the MAGZIP. Remove the root, then move the last element of the last level to the root. Move the last element of last level to root. Okay, I'll show the example for that. Then after moving that, compare the value of this child node with its parents. And after comparison, suppose if any of the property is violated, what you do means you have to retain this property by swapping those node values. You have to repeat these steps, step number 3 and 4, until the heap property holds good. Either it can be min heap property or it can be MAGZIP property. Now let us look into this deletion operation in MAGZIP. Okay, this example is going to demonstrate this. I would like to delete the root node. The root node as a value 90. Okay, I wanted to delete this node. How we are going to delete this node? In order to delete this node, first what I have to do is you have to find out the minimum, the least element which is present in the tree. That is nothing but see, move the last element of the last level to the root node. Okay, suppose if you look at this, if you are going to look at the left subtree, the last element in this tree, in this is nothing but in the left subtree is nothing but 75. What you do means you have to swap these two elements. Okay, so now I'm going to swap 90 and 75. Okay, then after that I'm going to delete 90. Okay, 90 is deleted. If 90 is deleted, okay, so that there is nothing to worry about it, since 90 is a leaf node, it is not going to disturb any of the min property. And after that, the root becomes 75. When the root becomes 75, now we have to check whether this is going to retain the heap property, MAGZIP property or not. For that, what you are doing is you have to compare the parent node value with their child values. Okay, so I'm going to compare 75 with 89. Okay, 75 is less than 89. 75 is less than 89, so that it is going to violate the MAGZIP property. So for that, what I are doing is you cannot able to make a decision based on only the left node's parents. For that, you need to consider the key values in the right child of this 75 also, right child of 75. Since 89, the key value in the left child of 75 is 89. This 89 is greater than 75. Similarly, you have to consider the right child also. Okay, so that since 70 is less than what? 70 less than 75. If you look compare these two, okay, this is going to maintain the Maxi property here. But if you compare these 75 and 89, these two key value does not satisfy the Maxi property. For that, what you are doing means you need to do the swapping. Okay, so do the swapping. After swapping, so that you will get 89 at the root and 75 as an internal node. Means that this is going to become the left child of 89. Then after that, you had to compare the, start proceeding to the rest of the tree. Then you had to compare the 75 with the 36. Okay, 75 with the 36 means, so here 75 parent node value is greater than 36. Okay, so that it is going to satisfy the Maxi property. Okay, then you have to compare the 75 with the right child value. 75 with the right child value, that is 85. So that 75 is less than 85. It is not going to maintain the Maxi property. Then what you have to do is you have to swap these two. When I swap these two values, so that 85 become the parent node and 75 become the right child of 85. Okay, this is done. Now after that you have to keep proceeding with the rest of the trees. Okay, now 75 is done here. Now you have to compare these two values. Okay, to see that whether the parent value is greater than 75 or not. Sorry, child value is greater than 75 or not. So now the child value is 75. So 15 is the parent value is 75. The child value is 15. So that 75 is greater than 15. So that it is going to satisfy the Maxi property. So this is the complete heap Max heap after deleting the node 90. That is nothing but the root node 90. Suppose if you are going to delete a node root node, okay, after deletion, so you need to ensure that the resultant heap tree should satisfy or retain the Maxi property. Same thing goes good for the mini tree also. In case of mini tree, we are going to look at the parent value whose value is less than their child values. Okay, so this is about the mini and as well the Maxi. So next we have another application of this balanced application of binary tree, that is nothing but an balanced tree. Okay. Here we have studied about the binary search tree, BST. BST is nothing but the binary search tree. So binary search tree is more efficient for searching operation. Okay, if the height of the left subtree and height of the right subtree is same for a given node. I mean that in case of binary search tree, we are going to store the elements based on their magnitude. Okay, because in case of binary search tree, we are going to keep inside the elements whose value is less than to the left, as to the left of the node if the value is less than the parent node's value. But if you do frequent insertion and deletions in the trees, which is going to affect the efficiency, and your binary tree is going to become inefficient. But binary search tree is more efficient only for search operation when the height of the left subtree and height of the right subtree is maintained the same level. Okay. So the efficiency of searching will be ideal if the difference in height of the left and right subtree with respect to a node is at most 1. Suppose if they say, for example, I have a left subtree and I have a right subtree. Suppose if the height of the left subtree say HL and height of the right subtree say, for example, HS, if their difference is equals to at most 1, then search operation becomes more efficient. Okay. Suppose if you are going to achieve this property in the binary search tree, then the resultant binary search tree is called as an balanced binary tree. In case of balanced binary tree, the right of the right subtree is differ by the height of the left subtree by at the most 1. At the most 1. Say for example, you have a binary search A, B, and say C and D, and this is the node E. Okay, so the height of this path is nothing but 2, and height of this right subtree is nothing but 1. Their difference is nothing but say 1. Okay, 2 minus 1 is equal to 1, so that the search operation becomes more efficient. Suppose if we maintain the height this way. So in other way, the balanced binary tree can be defined this way. A balanced binary tree is one in which the longest path through the left subtree is same length as the longest path of the right subtree. That is from root to leaf. Okay. So searching time is very less in balanced tree compared to our unbalanced tree, that is nothing but the binary search tree. Okay. So there are two types of balanced trees are available. One is nothing but height balanced tree. Second one is nothing but weight balanced trees. So what exactly mean by the height balanced tree? In height balanced trees, the balancing the height is an important factor, so that at every level you need to balance the height of the tree. So in order to achieve this balancing, we are going to make the two approaches. Okay, those approaches are as follows. So insert a number of elements into a binary tree in the usual way. You keep adding the element into the binary tree usual way. After inserting the elements, copy the tree into another binary tree in such a way that the tree is balanced. Okay, so mean that you insert it, and after that you just go and copy into the another binary tree. So the resultant binary tree should be well balanced. Okay. So this method is efficient if the data are continuously added to the tree. So means that this kind of approach is used in the applications where you are keep adding the elements continuously to the non-empty balanced tree. Another algorithm which we are going for to achieve the height balanced tree is nothing but the AVL tree. Okay. So this is another popular algorithm for constructing the height balanced tree. So the name of this is called as an AVL tree. So we are going to discuss this AVL tree in the coming section. Another type, second type is nothing but a weight balanced tree. In case of weight balanced tree, actually we are going to have a one more additional field in the node, one more. Normally, if you look at the conventional nodes, the fields in the nodes are normally we have the three fields. Okay, one is nothing but left link field and right link field, followed by we have a data field. Okay. In addition to this, in case of the weight balanced tree, in addition to this, we are going to have one more field. That field is used to store either the probability, or we are going to call it insert a weight into this particular field. Okay. So the data element, left and right pointer fields, these are all same in the other tree nodes. The probability field is specifically added field for the weight balanced tree. What exactly the use of this the extra field which is added in this method? This particular field was the probability of the node being accessed. Means, say for example, in a given tree, suppose if a particular node is accessed n number of times, how many number of times that particular node is accessed is stored in this probability field or the weight field. Say for example, if the node A is accessed 10 times in the during their operation, then this 10, the number 10 is stored in this weight field. Okay. This weight field indicates that this particular node A is accessed 10 times during their operation. Okay, so when a tree is created, the nodes with the highest probability of the probability are always placed at the top. Okay, mean that, say for example, if you are going to create the weight balanced tree, means suppose if the node P appears several times during their operation, so that the P is going to become the root of that particular tree. Okay, root of that weight balanced tree here. Okay, the nodes that are most likely to be accessed are going to be the least node or the last node in the tree. Say they are going to be at the bottom of the node. I think they are called as the leaf node here. So the root node always contains the highest weightage, whereas the leaf nodes are going to contain the smallest values. Okay, now we are going to discuss about the application of another application of the binary tree, that is nothing but the AVL trees. Okay, there is no full form for the AVL. Okay, so it is called as an AVL tree. So this is nothing but a balanced binary tree. Okay, so in an AVL tree is a binary tree in which the left and right subtree of any node may differ in height by at the most 1. This is what we require in this AVL tree. The height of the left subtree and the difference between the height of the left subtree and height of the right subtree should be at the most 1. The height difference may be 0 or at the most it should be 1. Okay, so this difference, whatever the difference is either 0 or 1, it is called as an balance factor. It's called as an balance factor. So each node in the AVL tree possesses any one of these following property. What are those property? Let's see here. In case of AVL tree, a node in an AVL tree can be called as an left heavy. We call it as left heavy. Left heavy in the sense that if the largest path in its left subtree is one level larger than the largest path of its right subtree, means that if the height of that particular node is higher, if the left height, that is height of the left subtree is greater than the height of the large right subtree by 1, then it is called as an left heavy. Similarly, opposite to this is nothing but right heavy, in the sense that the largest path in its right subtree is one level larger than the largest path of its left subtree. Okay, the difference is 1, then it is called as a right subtree. So if you look at this one, left heavy and right heavy, the name implies that, okay, so that their respective path is higher by 1 compared to the other. Next, the node is balanced. When we can call that the node is balanced? Suppose if the path length, left path length and right path length are same, then we call it as that particular node is the balanced. So left heavy, right heavy and balanced, where in case of left heavy, the difference is 1. Here also the difference is 1. Okay, so here what make the difference here? Left heavy, in case of left heavy, the largest path, the left subtree should have a largest path and which is higher by 1 compared to the largest right path. Okay, then this is quite converse to this right heavy. So these are all the some of the example of the AVL tree. I have only one node here. So here the left subtree and right subtree are 0, right? So that the balance factor is 0. Suppose I have a only right subtree for A. Okay, so that path length for A is 0. This is 1. The difference is 1 in this case. Okay. If you look at this one, the path length is 2, left path length is 2 and right subtree path length is 2. Their difference is nothing but 0 in this case. And if you look at this one, the path length is 1. For the right path length is for A is 1 and for this longest path from leaf node to the root node is 2 in this case, the difference is 1 in this case. So that all are example for the AVL trees. So next is construction of AVL, the tree. How we are going to construct the AVL tree for. Okay, construction of an AVL tree is same as that of an ordinary binary tree. Okay, so we have constructed the binary tree. Okay, in the same way we can able to construct, but here after the addition of each new node, what we require means we require to check whether the balance factor is maintained or not. Okay, so after adding a node, we have to check to ensure that AVL balance conditions are not violated. Factor for AVL tree 0 or at the most 1. If the new node causes an imbalance, suppose if there is an imbalance after inserting it, means that if the path length is greater than or difference is greater than 1, then what you do means you need to do some tree arrangement in order to achieve this proper balance factor. So this is an algorithm to do that one. Insert the node into the binary tree. In the first step we are doing it. After that you are going to find the trace the path from the new nodes. Trace the path from the new nodes back towards the root for checking the height difference of the two subtrees. Then after that consider the node with the imbalance and the two nodes on the layers immediately below. Okay, so that suppose say for example you are keep adding the nodes like this A, B and C. I added the nodes here, right? Okay, so here the balance factor is 1. Here the balance factor is 2 because this is 0, this is 2. It is more than that. Okay, so now the imbalance is occurs at node A. Okay, consider the node with the immediate imbalance. This A has to be considered, and starting from this imbalance node, consider the two more nodes in the same path. Okay, that is now B and C has to be considered. Now, after that, what you are doing is you need to do some rotation operation on these three nodes in order to achieve the balance property. Okay, I'll show you in the coming slide which are the different types of rotations we are using in the AVL tree in order to achieve the required balance factors. Okay. If these three nodes lie in the straight line, apply the single rotation. Okay, so that we are going to use the single rotation if they are falling in the same straight line, or whether it can be a left skew tree or if it is a right skew tree, then use this single rotation. Suppose if these nodes lie in the dogleg pattern in the sense, say for example I have some bending. Okay, there is a bending in this the tree B and say for example C. Okay, now the tree is imbalanced in this case. Okay, in such case what you do, we need to do double rotations to correct the imbalance. Okay, so these are the steps you need to follow in order to construct the binary trees. Okay, now let us look into the AVL rotations. There are major AVL rotations are mainly classified in two types. One is called as a single rotation, second one is called as a double rotation. Okay, single rotation again classified into left rotation, or it is called as an LL rotation, and right rotation is called as an RR rotation. Similarly, again there are two types of double rotation. One is called as a left followed by right rotation, means that left followed by right rotation, it is LR rotation. Second type in the double rotation is right followed by left rotation. So that is nothing but that is called as an RL rotation. So these are the four methods. Let us see deep into this rotation, single rotation. Suppose if the tree becomes unbalanced, okay. So what are you supposed to do? We are supposed to do a specific rotate operation over a single left rotation. Where exactly single left rotation we are going to do here? We are going to insert the node 1, 2, 3 in sequence. If I inserted here, okay, I'll get a final tree like this. If you look at this one, balance factor is 0. If you look at this one, balance factor is -1 in this case. Okay, balance factor is equal to -2 in this case. Minus means, so we are going to find the difference like this: left path length minus right path length. Okay, for that right path length we are going to calculate. That's what we are getting, -1 and -2 in this case. Okay, so now here up to 1 is admissible, but here we have a imbalance at the node 1. Okay, so now what you do, starting from this, consider the two more nodes which belong to the lower levels, that is 2 and 3. They must belong to the same direction. Okay, so what you do means, you need to remember this point: find the first imbalance node on the path from the newly inserted node to the root node. Okay, so this one, this is the newly added node here. Okay, so that find the first imbalance node in the path from this newly added node 3 to the root node, that is nothing but 1. Okay, if you start moving this way, so that you can able to find the first imbalance at the 1. Okay, so that is the root node. Then find the imbalance node. This is the imbalance node, that is 1, we have found it. Okay, so now count or consider 3 nodes from the first imbalance node in the direction of leaf node. Okay, in the direction of the newly added node. In this way, you consider 3 nodes, that is 1, 2, and 3. We have considered it. Okay, then we have to use the AVL rotation to balance that tree. Okay, now how we are going to do means, you have to apply the single left rotation this way. If you do the left rotation at this point, so that what this one is, what exactly one is going to become is, 1 is going to become the left child of the 2. Then the 3 becomes the right child of 3 remains right child of the 2. Okay, so this is the resultant tree after the single left rotation. Similarly, after single right rotation, suppose if you look at this one, left skewed tree. So in order to balance this one, you need to rotate this one right, rotate right 1 time. So that if you rotate right 1 time means, your 3 is going to become the right child of 2 here. Okay, so that 1 is the left child of this. This is the tree after the right rotation. Okay, so single rotations are very simple. Okay, so compared to the double rotations. Next, we have a double rotation. So there I have a left and right rotations. Okay, a left right rotation is a combination of what left rotation followed by the right rotation, what we studied in the previous slides here. Say for example, I am going to insert the node 3, 1, 2 in this order, means after inserting it, I am going to get this tree 3, 1, and 2. Okay, now if you look at the balance factor here, the tree is imbalanced. Okay, where exactly the first imbalance appears? At 3. Now what we have to do means, you consider the 3 node. Okay, starting from the first imbalance. Okay, till you get the this leaf node. Okay, so then now you apply the left and right rotation. What you do means, you apply the left rotation for these 2 nodes. Okay, if you apply the left rotation for this 2 is going to become the right child of 3, and after that this 1 is going to become, this 2 is going to become the left child of 3. Then after that the 1 is going to become the left child of 1. Okay, so you will get like this. Okay, this is the tree. Then after that, what you are doing is, now you have to apply the right rotation at 3. Right rotation at 3. Okay, first we are going to apply the left rotation at the 1, and after that we are going to apply the right rotation at 3. After right rotation, so we will get an AVL tree. Okay, so this is now well balanced. Okay, so balance factor is 0 for 1, 0 for 3, and 0 for 2. What is the path length for these 2? From the left subtree it is 1. Path length for these 2 from the right subtree is also 1. So that difference is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. So it is achieved. So next, similarly, right left rotation. So we are inserting the nodes 1, 3, 2 in this. Okay, 1, 3 is the right child and 2 is nothing but the left child of 3 here. Okay, now the tree is imbalanced at 1. Okay, minus 1. Now what you have to do is you have to apply the right followed by the left rotation. Okay, if you apply the left rotation, right rotation at this point, okay, so this is going to become the right skew tree now. Minus 2, minus 1 and 0. These are the balance factors for the. Now you apply the left rotation at 1, the node 1. When I rotate it, what I'll get it? So I'll get a 1 as an left child of 2 and 3 as an right child of 2. Okay, this is the balanced Abel tree after right left rotation. Okay, so these some of the points you supposed to consider. Yeah, I'm going to stop at this point. Your assignment will be out at I think 3:25. You attend all the questions. Okay, so I left with only this topic. I'll be finishing this AVL topic after the graphs. Okay, from next class onwards, the madam is going to teach you on sorting and as well the searching algorithms. Just a minute, I'll download the attendance. Okay, so you can able to attend the quiz right now. I think it is scheduled at 3 o'clock. Just see that. Okay, thank you all for attending the classes. Now audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I think your assignments will be out right now. You just look into it. Yeah, the quiz questions are out. You just attend all the questions.
Sir, if we're done, we can leave, right?
Yeah, sure, you can. Only 2 minutes left. Yeah, you submit it. Time is up. Time up. Okay, I'm closing the meeting. Your time up. You please submit it immediately.